Hi everyone, I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop. And if you like the 1920s and 30s as much as I do, stay tuned because this thrift haul is for you.
There's an old curiosity shop. Every once in a while I go by there for the fond recollections that lie there in that old curiosity shop.
Beyond the hills in Idaho, where yawning canyons greet the sun. Out in Idaho, it smiles above the trees in Idaho, to say another night is done. Warm summer winds toss the waving grain, calling me back to my home again, to dreams, sweet memories of long ago, beyond the hills in Idaho. Toss the waving grain, calling me back to my home again, to dreams, sweet memories of long ago, beyond the hills in Idaho.
Well, hello everybody, guess who's back? This is Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop, and just look at all of that stuff. It's actually been a hot minute since I've done a good old-fashioned kitchen counter thrift haul. And boy, I'll tell you what, you know me, I love Art Deco and I love the 20s and 30s. If you do too, happy day, because I've got something just for you. We are stuck in the 20s and 30s today, and we're going nowhere. So I can't wait to dive in and tell you what I've got. Some very unusual items here, some quality stuff, and some things you could have picked up at the 5 and dime. But first,
a cup of coffee, a sandwich, and you, a cozy corner, a table for two.
today's cup of coffee is brought to you by the Federal Glass Company. Now, this pattern is called Thumbprint, and it was introduced in 1927. And you're saying, well, wait a minute, the Depression didn't start until the 30s, right? Well, yeah, sure. When the stock market crashed on October 29th, 1929, of course, not everybody felt the effects of the Depression just yet, but Depression glass, that is colored glassware, was actually available as early as 1924 in many of the elegant patterns. This, not an elegant pattern, but mass-produced, cheaply produced by Federal, and so that actually makes this one of the earliest mass-produced lines in the colored glassware known as Depression glass. That's Thumbprint by the Federal Glass Company. Okay, let's begin with this 1930s extension telephone. This is a Western Electric telephone, and it dates to about 1933 or 34. You'll notice there's no dial on it, and that's because it is an extension telephone. A lot of the magazines of the day, Good Housekeeping and so forth, Better Homes and Gardens, they would have these elaborate ads about how, boy, if you really wanted to be keeping up with the Joneses, you simply had to have an extension telephone installed. And so this would either be in your kitchen or maybe an upstairs hallway or bedroom. You couldn't dial out, but when the telephone rang, you could certainly pick it up and speak to Aunt Hazel or whoever's calling. This one, we can still see the old exchange number on it, and that is Lackawanna. Now that's old Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania. RD2 is usually rural delivery, and its telephone number Lackawanna, and I can't see the rest. Anyway, I don't know, but can you imagine? Hello, this is Lackawanna 456, and that's your telephone number. I'll let you see it. There's no ringer in it. This would need a separate ringer box. It's in great shape. These cords can be replaced. All of this stuff is available, if you know where to find it, through antique telephone and electric supply companies. Let me zoom in there on the Western Electric. An extension telephone like this from the 1930s, depending on its condition, can be worth, in really bad, well, let's not go there. Let's just say in this condition, it's probably worth about $35 to $65, somewhere in that range. So we're going to move this out of the way, and I'm guessing this is from the 30s. It has that look and feel to me. It's a sailboat, or it was a sailboat. The mast is missing, and of course the sail is as well. But I fell in love with it when I saw it. There's the rudder on the back. I love this old paint. I'm not going to do a thing to it. I'm not even going to clean it. But what I will do is hold on to it until I can find myself a dowel and some old canvas and somehow figure out how to fashion a sail for it. So my guess is the 1930s. It just has that look and feel. What do you think? Isn't it really neat? Came from a flea market, and I paid $1 for it. So I can't wait to actually get that restored in the near future. Now we'll move over here to several inexpensive items, 3 of which were made in Japan and 1 was not. So I'll get down here, and first I'll tell you, I'm keeping one of these little guys, and yes, it's the cat. Now, he's actually an ashtray. As you can see, he sits flat like that. Try to focus in. And then here's the indentation for the cigarette to sit. There could have been 4 of these little ashtrays. They often came in what was called a bridge set, so that each of the 4 bridge players could have their own ashtray. We see the Japan there. I paid $2 for it simply because he stands up. It's a cat. I like the black and orange, so he's going to be kind of cool at Halloween. I'm not thrilled that it's an ashtray, but I can always just stand it up and use it like that. And I kind of like the 20s and 30s made in Japan items. So he's a keeper. I think I may have already shown you this in a previous thrift haul. I cannot remember. But this is a wall pocket, also probably from the late 20s into the early 30s. This one, however, was not made in Japan. And if you look closely, you'll see the quality is a little bit better in the detail, the consistency of the paint. And this is marked Germany. It's also very white, so it's a higher grade ceramic, probably even porcelain. But either way, it's very typical of the 20s with that exotic sort of Arabian costume. And then over here, I just picked these up for $1 each at the flea market. I love this guy. What's not to love about a frog playing an accordion? Actually, that's not an accordion. I'm guessing it's a concertina, or let's just call it a squeeze box. He's made in Japan. a planter with no chips or cracks, and this guy is going to be for sale in the old curiosity shop. That's just too cute, as they say. And then also, I'm guessing this is more of a little trinket container. It's not an ashtray, but that would look nice next to the kitchen sink where you can put your wedding ring while you're washing the dishes. Does anybody wash dishes anymore in the sink? I do. And we can see two little monkeys with, I guess they're in the Shriners. They have their fez. Is that a fez on their heads? I don't know. I suppose it is. One is playing a guitar and the other one is beating a drum. Okay, that's cute. Also made in Japan. And this inexpensive, probably made in the 1930s as well. Sticking with the 30s, here's some chrome items back here. Talk about that second. These, I'm not absolutely certain that these are from the 30s, but I've got a hunch that they are maybe the 40s. I'm used to these little chrome ice cream cups as being very lightweight and very cheaply made. These guys are heavy, and when I picked them up, I knew they were quality because of the weight to them. And if you'll see, I'll turn them upside down. I really didn't do a whole lot of research on this company, but it just has a 1930s feel. And it says on there, Wear Bright Grand Silver Company. Nickel silver, hold on for a second. Nickel silver, I'm trying to do this without silver gilded. Wait a minute. Hold on, folks. Nickel silver soldered, it says. Okay. Anyway, really nicely made and heavy. I've got a feeling these might have been for the restaurant trade. I love them. Wouldn't some rum raisin ice cream or coffee ice cream just taste great in these? So I think I'm gonna keep these. I don't know. I mean, you know, I can't keep everything, but I sure do love these things from the 30s. Now this is fantastic. Look at that there. There's dust from that. I had the fan on and it blew some dust down here. Let's bring this back. What a high quality pen holder this is. I don't know how well you can see that. Very Art Deco, very nicely made. The original felt, what's left of it, on the bottom, and just very beautifully done. And this is for a fountain pen. This also has a very good weight to it. And I think this would have been a very quality item purchased in a jewelry store. Black enamel with this wonderful chrome or nickel plate. And I think I'm going to hold on to this too because I really like it. It's just quality. So we'll slide that aside. All right, now what's next? Here are a couple of items made by the Sunbeam company. This is a creamer. You can turn it upside down and see it is clearly marked Sunbeam on the bottom. I love the Art Deco design on the front of it and the Bakelite handle. It's just the creamer. It is missing everything else. But I'm going to show you a photograph here where you can see that this was actually manufactured with a matching sugar bowl and a toaster that has this same Art Deco design on the front. Okay, and then this is a not a coffee percolator or coffee pot, but I guess you call these carafes. And this is also made by Sunbeam. This wasn't manufactured to match this piece here. It's a totally different design. And I'm also going to include right here a photograph of the full set. You got the coffee server, the matching cream and sugar, and a hot pot underneath. Now this is where you would boil the coffee, make your coffee in the kitchen, then pour your hot coffee into this, take this out to the breakfast table or the dining room table or a nice coffee table in your living room, and you could keep this hot on the burner while folks are enjoying coffee and gossiping about the latest news from, you know, Hollywood. It's very heavy. It's in great condition. I love it. And so what I'm going to do now is keep my eyes out for the whole set. I would love to get a hold of the matching cream and sugar and the hot plate that goes underneath of it. This one's in great condition, and this came from the Goodwill. I paid about $2 for it. This piece back here is some kind of a underplate which would have held I don't know what. Anybody know? It's made by the Chase Company. They made a lot of chrome and copper items in the 1930s. And this was just sort of, I guess I threw this in a box. I was at a flea market and picked it up, and very Deco, very 30s. Exactly what it was used for, I don't know. But we'll just put the Lone Creamer on there and be done with it. What's next? Now this is just like stepping into the bedroom of a glamorous 1930s film star. And you know, if you didn't have the money of a glamorous 1930s film star, you could go to the Five and Dime and at least feel glamorous with items like this. Aren't they just beautiful? Typical 1930s green color here. Perfume bottle and an atomizer. Now, of course, the atomizer has seen better days, but we're going to be able to get a replacement for that with an online search. And the maker is on the top. I'll let you see that. We can focus in on that. Volpe, hold on, what is it now? V-O-L. And the maker is Volpe, is that right? V-O-L-U-P-T-E, Volpe. I think that company is still in business. This is cold painted glass, inexpensively made in the 1930s, but it still has a real elegant look. We'll slide those two bottles out of the way and then let you see an Art Deco bottle of gardenia, lavender. Very typical of 1930s design. And then next up, also from the 30s, nail polish remover. Very geometric lines, clean lines, very Art Deco. I like those a lot. And then the two perfume bottles back here. One we can identify and attribute to the I. Rice Company, and I'm guessing that the other one is also made by I. Rice. Now, I. Rice stands for Irving W. Rice, and he didn't manufacture these. He was an importer. And he started in the 1920s importing vanity items. These, at least this one for sure, is manufactured by I. Rice. And I'll let you have a look at how beautiful this Czechoslovakian glass actually is. Just beautiful. Pull the stopper out very carefully and set it down. And then turning the bottle upside down, we get lots of information. So that's always a good thing. Okay, there we see the Irving Rice Company. And hand-cut crystal made in Czechoslovakia. Now, that's going to put this piece somewhere between 1921 and 1937, 38. So prior to occupation, prior to the Second World War, when this type of Bohemian glass was being made, mass-produced in Czechoslovakia and then imported all over the world. And so that's what this piece dates to. Now, this one is unmarked, but you can see the very similar quality, very Art Deco in design. There's some old residue of perfume in the bottom. I'm going to try to get out of there. Get this guy off. Okay. Now, I don't know what you call the little... There's a little glass rod that's attached to the bottom of these stoppers, and I'm sure there's a technical name for it. Can someone tell me what that is? That's broken off, and it's broken off on a lot of these. Does it affect the value? I think it does, but probably not very much unless you are a advanced die-hard perfume bottle collector. But I could be wrong about that. It is broken off of there, as it is on the other bottle as well. But it certainly doesn't affect the way the bottle looks, and it certainly could still be used for perfume. This in a really delicate peach color with frosted highlights. And these were not cheap for me to purchase. I purchased this one for $20, and I purchased this one for I think $12. So I've got a few dollars in both of these, but they're just so beautifully done and in such good condition. I couldn't resist those examples of great Art Deco glass. These were a little less expensive, and so were these. Okay, sticking with the vanities of the 1930s, here's a powder jar in satin glass. It could be L.E. Smith. I've seen something with this Greek key design in black glass made by L.E. Smith, but it could have been made by any of the glass makers of the 30s. It's unmarked, but it is a satin powder jar for the counter, or for the vanity rather. And this will be for sale in the old curiosity shop. It's in really good condition. And we'll move this out of the way. Now, take a look back here. By the way, folks, this is going to be a long video because I've got a lot to tell you. When I saw this, you ready to say it with me, everybody? I just about got detached retina. Let me pull this up here. Now, I knew exactly what it was when I saw it. It's the first one I've ever seen in person, but I've seen this in books for years and years and years and years. And do you know what it is? Now, this wonderful piece of glass is called Danse de Lumiere. I hope I'm doing okay with my French pronunciation. And it was manufactured by the McKee Glass Company. That's right, the same McKee that makes Depression cups and saucers. Well, what exactly is it? Well, first of all, it's not complete. It is the top of a lamp. It's missing its base. Now, when I saw it on the table, oh my goodness, grabbed it quickly. I knew what it was because I'd seen it years and years and years ago, and I asked the gentleman, do you have anything else that goes with it? I was sort of testing him to see if he knew what it was. He didn't know what it was. He said, no, that's it. It's just a piece of glass. It sits there. It's a sculpture. It's $10. $10. Okay, so obviously I paid him the $10. But the man didn't know that it was the top of a lamp. Now here's a picture of what it looks like with the base. As you can see, the nude dancing lady draped in these sort of stylized, I guess, peacock feathers. She fits down inside of a glass base, which has the light bulb in it. It's a bedroom lamp, probably to be used on a vanity as just an accent light. Well, if you couldn't afford Lalique, and who could in the 30s, this was the next best thing. It's pink frosted glass, and what's fantastic about even just having the top is that there's still quite a bit of value to it. Now, there is a chip with some roughness down here at the bottom of the top of the base, which is not really an issue. We can see the name of the lamp right there, Danse de Lumiere, I suppose. So there's some flea bites on it, which aren't significant because they're at the base, as patent applied for. There is a nice hunk or out of the back. Now that's not that great. Sitting down in the base, you wouldn't see any of this, but the base will come up to the flange right here, this lip, and so that chip would be seen from the back. So not a huge issue. If it's going to be chipped, I'd much rather it be chipped in the back at the bottom where it's not really going to be seen, but that'll affect the value of it some. What's really sweet is that She is not chipped at all. We'll try to zoom in on her and do the focus here. Now, I apologize for the nudity. I don't know whether I'm supposed to be showing that or not. But, warning. I guess I'm a little late with the warning on the nudity. But anyway, there she stands. Now, I'll insert a photograph here of a recent eBay auction of the entire lamp, which recently sold, and you can see the complete lamp sold for over $1,100. It comes in pink and green, frosted. What am I going to do with this? Well, I'm eventually going to sell it, but I think for right now it's worth it to me to hang on to it and see if I can actually find a base. I mean, even if I had to pay $200 or $300 for a base to be able to add the matching top of the lamp, I think would be worth it. Don't you think? Alright, I've finally been able to get this to focus on her, and I think she has a dirty face. I think I've got to get in there with a toothbrush and get her cleaned up a little bit, but there we focus in on her face. And a little bit more of the stylized, I guess really peacock feathers are what's behind her. So we'll see. I don't know if I'll be able to actually find the base or not, but I sure am going to give it a good try. What would just the top sell for? Oh, I don't know, $200 or $300, I would guess. That was an exciting find. Now I've turned the lights down so you can get the full effect of this little radio lamp. It's a cute little thing. I paid $30 for it, which was a steal, and I'm not selling it because I'm going to use it on top of a wonderful old Art Deco console radio that you have not seen, but I'll show you some other time. This is the original Crackle Glass Globe, and a very nice original finish on the base. Lamps like this were manufactured and sold and marketed as radio lamps. Yes, they would sit on top of a radio and give you just a little bit of ambient light so that you could fiddle with the dial of the radio if it was not an illuminated dial. Very similar to the kind of thing in the 1950s and 60s with the television lamps, TV lamps, but much earlier here. Art Deco, very late well, this dates to about 1930, 1928 to 1933, somewhere in there. And it's Art Deco, and I absolutely love it. All right, let's turn the lights on. Okay, I still have a lot to get through, and I'm talking way too much. I apologize, so I'm going to speed through the rest of it. This lamp you already saw 2 or 3 weeks ago in a thrift haul video, but I wanted you to get a close-up look at how beautiful the pottery on the lamp is. I have not restored the base yet. I also wanted you to see the embossed work on the metal, which I have to do. I'm going to put a new lacquer finish on that and get this 1920s double socket lamp working again. I've just ordered some more of my old-fashioned cloth cord. Okay, that is a big 1920s radio speaker, a cone speaker when they came separate from the actual chassis in the cabinet. Made for Sears and Roebuck. It says WLS on the bottom, which stands for World's Largest Store. In fantastic condition, original grill cloth and the original paint on that metal speaker. This is going to be for sale because I don't need it, so that's going to be in the old curiosity shop. And a radio collector from the 20s will pay, $50, $60, $70 for a radio speaker like that. From, I think, the 30s, it is paper mache. It's a tunnel for a train set. There's a lamp that has a, and there's a Depression era lamp. Turn that off so you can see it better. With an onyx base in a creamy green and sort of caramel swirl. You can see that. Turn it back on. That's going to be for sale in the old curiosity shop, but not the shade. Sorry, I'm not getting rid of my really cool vintage shades. And I guess people sometimes would like to do their own shades anyway. So that's that. We did all of these. That is terrific. Do you know how old that is? It was patented in 1921 by a gentleman from Philadelphia. I'm not going to go into all the details, but I was able to find him based upon the patent number on the bottom. To find a lunchbox like this, made in the 1920s, in the original condition with the original paint, is unbelievable, and that paint is fantastic. I won't open it up. There's no thermos on the inside of it. It's missing, but wow, I paid $4 for this, actually in a small retro shop on South Street in Philadelphia, and I'm not selling it. I'm going to be packing my lunch in that as I go thrifting. 2 old black and white photographs, which I really fell in love with. I paid $1 a piece. I don't know who she was, but she's working that hairdo. And then this guy over here looks like a radio announcer. These might be from a high school. These people look pretty young to me, but who knows? Maybe it's from a theatrical company. I like original photographs. I love his Art Deco tie, the microphone, and everything. So I'm going to keep those 2 photographs. The houses that you see here are going to be for sale. Let me slide these things out of the way. Now, these were made in Baltimore by a local company. I'll let you see the bottom of this one. You can see this is the Dill Brothers, or Dill Company. They were brothers. They started making these cardboard houses in the early 30s. I think I read in their parents' garage. Now, the one thing you'll notice about these houses is they're not very Christmassy. They don't necessarily look like the Putz houses that we saw in the 50s from Japan. There's no snow on these. There's lots of greenery. And there's nothing to suggest that these would be for a Christmas village. They could have been used on a train layout. They could have been used underneath the Christmas tree. But there was a big fad in the Baltimore area, and they called them Christmas gardens. You can look this up if you're interested in reading about it. And firehouses would make these and sell them. And this set does date to about 1935, 36, 37, very typical. They're in good shape. The church is a little wonky there, so it might be missing a step, but everything else is there. That's the one in the worst condition, and that's not bad for cardboard houses from the 30s. These 2 are the same in color and design. And then these back here, this one back here is really nice. I'll let you see it. You know, these remind me of the little sort of Spanish colonial villas that you see in all the Laurel and Hardy films. And just very typical of houses that were built in the 1930s. Now, the detail is really good on these. Coming apart a little bit right there, not a big deal because it is cardboard. And most of the paper windows have not been punched through, as you can see. So I would say really remarkable, considering these date to the middle years of the Depression. And then that one back, well, let's see. The red one and the green one are the same style. Bring this guy up. Just fantastic. Now, I paid $25 for all of these houses, and I knew they were worth it. They may be worth more to someone from the Baltimore area because it was a Baltimore company that made these. I really don't know, but I will get these photographed eventually, and they are going to be up for sale in the store. So give me a hot minute to get that done if you guys are interested. And I'm thinking that these may go to a 1930s train collector because they would be really nice as a train village. Okay, speeding it up here, this lamp is going to be for sale. Again, sorry, I'm going to keep the shade. The shade didn't come with it, but that's one of my really good shades, and I'm going to keep a hold of that so I can model it with other lamps. But this one probably would have come as a pair. There would have been another one for 2 sides of a vanity or a small dresser, but you could use this one anywhere you want. It's polychromed, it's metal, has a really nice finish. Original finish, hasn't been repainted. Hold on for a second. And you can see the old socket has the same patination as the rest of the lamp, which is really nice. Put the shade back on. You can see it better. and that dates to late 20s into the early 30s, that lamp right there. Okay, and the last thing is I've never known how to pronounce it. It's Buzza or Buzza, so perhaps someone can tell me. I've had many of these mottos or poems before. We'll zoom in on it. You can see the B-U-Z-Z-A, Buzza or Buzza Company. They made a lot of these framed mottos for mother, for father, brother, sister. And this is a poem for a friend. Very nice detail. Maybe you can see there's kind of a glittery effect to it. I like the green accent on the frame, and it's never been out of this original paperback backing, so it's never come out of the frame. And even the original hook on the top, hold on, you've got to see this detail. Hold on, wait for it, wait for it. Look, it even has the name, it's even branded B-U-Z-Z-A on the actual hook. So all original, never been out of that frame. There are a lot of collectors of these. Okay, yes, I had to speed through it because I think this video is way too long. I hope you guys don't mind me running my mouth so much because I just love the stuff from the 20s and 30s. I hope you do too. So anyway, the link to my shop is below. Again, most of these things are going to be listed in the old Curiosity shop, but as I said, I'm keeping a hold of a few. And you know what happens a lot of times? I'll keep some of the things and then maybe decide to pass it on. And so if you see anything you really, really like and I told you I was going to hold on to it, let me know and you might be able to twist my arm into selling it. Okay, it's Scott from the old Curiosity shop saying thanks for watching and listening to me for almost 30 minutes. Happy thrifting, everybody. So long for now.